You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey! Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation. Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, tokers and tokettes and non-toking lovers of liberty. It is Friday, September 26, 2014, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Welcome to the weekend. It's going to be a good one. This weekend at the Portland waterfront is the Portland Hemp Stock Festival. 2 days in the bowl there, a couple of stages, lots of pro-marijuana vendors, speakers, and bands. If you can make it down there this weekend, get on down and enjoy the Portland Hemp Stock. Our own Herb Thrasher will be running one of the stages on Sunday, the metal stage. So we're going to go get some footage of him on Sunday and bring it to you here next week on the Russ Belville Show. On today's show, we've got more exclusive look at the continued unraveling of Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Marquis, who is just losing his ever-loving mind over the idea of governmental transparency and my open records requests. Did a couple of interviews. There's a story up on Go Local PDX about this. I was just interviewed today by the Seattle Times, so you may be hearing more about this in the media. Today, my friend Jennifer Alexander forwarded to me some emails in exchange she's been having with Josh Marquis since we saw him last Friday at the Portland City Club debate. And, well, I'll just tell it. He calls Representative Blumenauer a liar, or at least implies that he's a liar. We'll give you the details in the Radical Rant coming up here at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. You'll also get a look into the mind of this guy who says that marijuana is no big deal and then goes on to complain about it. It's just, it's really remarkable to watch this man unravel. It's like he's never really had a lot of attention to this shenanigans that he's been up to. So I think we've got him a little bit nervous and off his game. We'll bring that all to you in the Radical Rant. Also on today's show, speaking of people who are reefer mad, we've got former Drug Czar John Walters. He was the Drug Czar from 2001 to 2009 for George W. Bush. He recently gave a presentation in which he cited facts from 2001 to 2007 that I believe he sourced from the Department of his ass. There's no reality whatsoever to the things he had to say, and I'll prove that to you in our Behind the Headlines segment. We'll follow that up with drug war data mining. I'm going to show you how to access the treatment episode data set to get data on rehab admissions in the United States. Some of that data that I use to debunk John Walters. Also on the show, we got a little bit of our culture high time sort of preview going on with some videos that we've got for you. First, some interviews with vendors at the High Times Cannabis Cup in Seattle. And then this new video that came across the desk today from Wyclef Jean and Mike Dunafon, who is apparently a candidate for, is it governor in Colorado? I'll have to look that up. He's a candidate though. And he has teamed up to make a video called The Trap that addresses the war on marijuana with Wyclef Jean. Also, we've got we've got video. Nobody films anymore. We got video from our friend Coral Reefer and her trip to the Boston Freedom Rally. So we'll take a look at dabs and reggae at the Boston Freedom Rally. But before all that, we start things up right after this next break with our 420 radio news. In the headlines today, we've got a new poll on Measure 91 here in Oregon. We've got MPP getting ready for 2016 in 4 states. Spokane has an interesting way of trying to find out how much marijuana people are smoking. 2 more pot shops are licensed and ready to open in Seattle. And the first legal hemp crop in Kentucky in a few decades was harvested this Wednesday. We'll tell you all about it right after this.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with our Shoutcast stream for all internet-enabled media players. Go to rad-r.us/420shout or just click the Shoutcast icon below the live radio feed at 420radio.org. It was a nightmare scenario last May for one Southern Oregon woman. It's 4 a.m. and someone's trying to break in.
911 emergency. My ex-boyfriend is trying to break into my house. He put me in the hospital a few weeks ago, and I've been trying to keep him away.
But because of budget cuts, the sheriff's office is only open during weekday business hours.
I don't have anybody to send out there. See, if he comes inside the residence and assaults you, can you ask him to go away? Or
he did break into the home, and he did rape and choke this woman. Meanwhile, it was announced that the Oregon Sheriff's Association made a $100,000 donation to the campaign against Measure 91, the initiative to legalize marijuana. So, there's enough money to protect people from marijuana, but not rapists? Measure 91 devotes 35% of tax revenues from marijuana sales to state and local police. Vote yes on Measure 91. A message from the Russ Belville Show, not endorsed or sponsored by the Measure 91 campaign. Stony Sundays with Coral Reefer from San Francisco, California, replaying Mondays at 1 Pacific on 4.
Mike Schwab is a former middle school science and math teacher. Currently, he works with children daily as an after-school program leader.
Currently, kids have easy access to marijuana with little understanding of its impact. We can take better care of our kids through Measure 91 with strict regulations and funding for proven marijuana education and prevention programs to keep kids from using it. Under our current marijuana laws, one mistake can ruin a life. Measure 91 removes unfairly harsh punishment for marijuana offenses and gets more tax money to local police and drug prevention. Vote yes on 91.
It's time for the 420 Radio News, covering the latest headlines in consumer cannabis, medical marijuana, and industrial hemp. Transcripts of 420 Radio News are available daily on our website at 420radio.org. Now, here's Russ Belville with your marijuana headlines in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. This is your 420 Radio News for Friday, September 26, 2014. By the narrowest and most unreliable of margins, Oregonians today back legalizing recreational marijuana 44% to 40%, according to the latest Survey USA poll conducted for K2 TV in Portland. The ballot initiative, known as Measure 91, has a majority of support only among the youngest voters, age 18 to 34, who often are the least likely to turn out in a midterm election. Among seniors, Measure 91 is opposed by 28 points. The more seniors who vote, the less likely 91 will pass. Voters aged 50 to 64 support legalization by 13 points, but 19% in that age group are undecided. Voters aged 35 to 49 support it by 11 points. The younger the electorate, the more likely Measure 91 will pass. Legalization is backed by 66% of liberals, 55% of Democrats, 54% of independents, 44% of moderates. By contrast, legalization is opposed by 72% of conservatives and 67% of Republicans. A U.S. marijuana advocacy group took steps Wednesday to begin raising money for a campaign to legalize recreational pot use in California in 2016, a move with potential to add a dose of extra excitement to the presidential election year. The Marijuana Policy Project filed paperwork with the California Secretary of State's office, registering a campaign committee to start accepting and spending contributions for a pot legalization initiative on the November 2016 state ballot, the group said. The measure would be similar to those passed in 2012 by voters in Colorado and Washington, the first U.S. states to legalize commercial sales of marijuana to all adults over 21. The Washington, D.C.-based group has also established campaign committees to back legalization measures in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Nevada in 2016. How much pot is smoked in Spokane? There may be a way to tell by studying human waste in the city's sewage system to determine THC levels, according to the ACLU, which proposed the idea to Spokane's marijuana subcommittee. The group wants to know how much pot is being smoked and thinks some won't tell the truth on a survey. The idea of testing sewer water is not too far-fetched. At this point, it's not quite clear if this will happen in Spokane. City officials say the wastewater treatment plant manager is looking into whether or not labs can test for THC, and if they can, would it be feasible to do so? This isn't the first time mass drug testing has been used. Similar monitoring has been performed in several European cities. One of the major benefits is that, unlike surveys, it's cheap. 100 milliliters of sewer water are all that's needed for a lab analysis. 2 more state-licensed marijuana stores are scheduled to open soon in Seattle, but their launches could be muted by supply issues that continue to dog the local retail marijuana industry. The owner of Uncle Ike's Pot Shop, Ian Eisenberg, said his company will start serving customers next week at 23rd and Union. Meanwhile, Oltian Hyseni, the owner of Ocean Greens, said his company is preparing for a grand opening on October 18th. Both proprietors said short supply of pot is now their biggest obstacle. Eisenberg said he will have a couple of pounds in his store, but was reticent to publicize an opening date for fear of long lines. Hyseni, a real estate agent who emigrated from Albania 14 years ago, said he is working to secure product. Quote, "I was raised under an oppressive regime," he said. "I'm very happy to be a part of Seattle history." End quote. Some of the imported hemp seeds detained by U.S. Customs officials in the spring turned into 10-foot-tall plants that were harvested Tuesday on a research plot in Kentucky, where marijuana's non-intoxicating cousin has gained a foothold as a potential cash crop. Hemp's reintroduction was delayed in the spring when hemp seeds imported from Italy were detained by U.S. Customs officials in Louisville. The state's agriculture department sued the federal government, and the seeds were released after federal drug officials approved a permit. Part of the once-detained shipment ended up being planted May 27th at the University of Kentucky. Hemp's comeback started with the new federal farm bill. It allows state agricultural departments to designate hemp pilot projects for research and developments in states such as Kentucky that allow hemp growing. This has been your 420 Radio News for Friday, September 26, 2014. I'm Russ Belville. You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420tunein or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on 420radio.org. The Marijuana Business Association, or MJBA, are proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show. It is the mission of the MJBA to establish integrity and legitimacy, create common market standards, provide market intelligence, and develop best ethical business practices for participants in the emerging legal marijuana industry, including commercial hemp, medical marijuana, and recreational marijuana for adults. Learn more about the Marijuana Business Association and visit mjba.net to join today. That's
I don't use marijuana, but as a teacher of 36 years, I can tell you lots of other people use it. I don't believe in prohibition. I don't think it works. Prohibiting it hasn't stopped anybody from getting a hold of it. I would like to see it regulated so that maybe kids can't get a hold of it so easily. I know they get a hold of it now very easily. I support a new approach to marijuana. I support legalizing it. It's with us. It's not going to go away. And if we can get money through the taxation, we can also educate our kids about it. That's why I support it.
Welcome back, everybody. 14 after the hour, and it's time for us to go behind the headlines, where I saw this piece that came from the Notre Dame Observer, the student newspaper at the University of Notre Dame. And the title of this was "Former Drug Czar Warns Against Marijuana Use." Apparently, Drug Czar John Walters, who was the drug czar from 2001 to 2008 under George W. Bush, brought this presentation to Notre Dame entitled "Pot, Hot or Not? The Young, American Democracy, and the Drug Problem," that was designed apparently to address the effects of marijuana and illicit drugs and their potential legalization. So, you know, one of these typical, we can't legalize it because what about the kids, right? So Walters, in his presentation, made a number of claims that just aren't true. They are just factually incorrect. And the first one, as reported by the ND Observer, is him pointing out that the consumption of most illicit substances decreased during the years 2001 to 2007. The consumption of most illicit substances decreased during the years 2001 to 2007. So I decided, hey, let's look that shit up. So I went to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health and pulled up the numbers for the monthly use of various substances to see if Walters was correct. And so we found in our data search here that only one substance went down from 2001 to 2007, and that was cigarettes. Used to be that 24.9% in 2001 smoked cigarettes. That's, a quarter, right? It went down to 24.2% by 2007. That's a decrease of minus 2.8%. Okay, overall percentage rate versus rate, right? So down 2.8%. Not subtracting, but the percentage rate decrease. Every other substance I looked up went up. Alcohol use increased from 48.3% to 51.1%, an increase of 5.8%. Marijuana use on a monthly basis went up from 5.4% to 5.8%, an increase of 7.4%. And for all other drugs, other illicit substances other than pot, that went from 3.1% to 3.7%, an increase of 19.4%. So the only substance whose consumption went down in that list was cigarettes, and those aren't illicit. Another statement Walters made, and this is a quote, "The use of court-mandated treatment has helped get people the care they need," end quote. Walters said. Walters presented statistics that showed the criminal justice system is the largest reason people enter treatment. Well, actually, this is true. This is true, but that belies the point, which is the criminal justice system putting people into treatment who actually need to be there? The fact that most people are sent to the rehab because of a court doesn't tell us whether or not they have a drug problem that requires rehabilitation. I decided to take a look at these statistics too by looking up the 2012 treatment episode data set admissions data. Now, to be fair, these TEDS data only cover places that receive public money. So it only accounts for about 58% of the rehab admissions in the United States. Places that are completely private, the Betty Ford clinics and stuff, they don't have to report their numbers to the government, although some of them do. But at best, I can say this represents 58% of the drug treatment out there. But what I found is I decided to take a look at how many people were put into rehab for their drug by the criminal justice system versus how many people were put in rehab because they personally decided to go. That's called a self-referral or an individual admittance. So for marijuana, we find that over half the people in rehab for marijuana, and this is if you are rehab for just one substance, right? If we narrow it down to just one substance, if you're in for marijuana, over half the time, 53.3% of the time, the criminal justice system put you there. 16% of the time, individuals went in. For alcohol, it's 39% versus 32%. For cocaine, it's even 34% criminal justice, 34% individual referrals. And for heroin, 11 or 12% are recommended by the criminal justice system. 2/3 of the people in for heroin admitted themselves because they felt they had a problem. The only drug that comes close to the numbers of that marijuana sports for these criminal justice admissions is meth. 50.6% of meth users were put there by criminal justice system, 25% individual referrals. Now, if we expand that to people who are in for two substances, because perhaps someone's in for pot and alcohol, or is in for coke and weed, whatever. If marijuana is one of those two substances, it's a 46 to 25 balance. And again, the rest of them are pretty even. Alcohol, 37 to 31. Cocaine, 23 to 44. Far more people self-admit for cocaine. Heroin, again, skyrocketing numbers, 56%. And again, only meth comes close to marijuana, and yet still more meth users self-admit than do marijuana users who are forced there because of the criminal justice system.
Hey, everybody, we're all going to get laid.
Walters also warned about crime, saying, quote, Denver is becoming the new Detroit, end quote. I guess he missed that FBI note about how crime is down 10% in Denver. Ah, man, marijuana has the power to addle the brains of the people who do not use it and fear it. We're back with some drug war data mining right after this.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the Ustream video app for Android and iPhone. Go to rad-r.us/420Ustream or just click the Ustream app icon for Android or iPhone below the live radio feed at 420radio.org. At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio. Drug Truth Network Cultural Baggage with Dean Becker from Houston, Texas, replaying Wednesdays at 11 Pacific on 420radio.org. Are you a hypocrite? If you live a closeted cannabis lifestyle, you are. Read about 7 people living a closeted cannabis lifestyle who are on the verge of coming out in The Hypocrites by Mara K. Eaton. Available at areyouahypocrite.net. You can purchase the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, also available on iTunes. Check out Mara K. Eaton on Facebook as well. Learn more at areyouahypocrite.net. Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining.
Welcome back, everyone. 22 after the hour. And in the last segment, we talked about people being admitted to rehabs, whether they were admitted by the criminal justice system or self-admitted for various drugs. And that data comes from the Substance Abuse Mental Health Data Archive that you can find at the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. This is administered by the University of Michigan, and I will paste the link in the chat room if anybody else wants to follow along, because this is where you'll find a treasure trove of drug war data. In these series of charts, and let me switch to the full screen so we can get a better look at this. In this series of charts, you're going to find that there is the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, which we've used in the past for various segments. But right below that, you can find something called the Treatment Episode Data Set. The Treatment Episode Data Set, or TEDS, admission, TEDS A, refers to the people admitted to rehabs that have to report to the federal government because they receive public money. It accounts for about 58% of rehab admissions in the country. TEDS A 2012 and the Online Analysis SDA take us to what we want to find. And again, it's one of these pages where there's a series of books on the left-hand side of different variables that are available for selection, and you make tables out of them by putting those variables into row or column. Now, it can be difficult when you first get in here to understand what you need to find, but the nice thing is you can just plug data in and use that to discover what the data actually is. For example, substances of abuse created variables gives us a list of things that include whether or not someone reported alcohol at admission, or cocaine, or marijuana reported at admission. So that variable is called MARFLAG, M-A-R-F-L-G. If you double click it, it'll appear up in the selected variables portion right up there. You can click to copy it to the row, and you have to at least have a row, but you don't have to do anything else. So if you just want to know what the heck is MARFLAG, put it up there in the row, scroll down a bit in the window, if I can get that to work, scroll down a bit and click Run the Table. This will provide you another window with the data. And what we find in this data of 1,749,000 people that were admitted for rehab, 38% of them reported using marijuana. 38% reported using marijuana. Now, this can be some useful information, but it includes people that were admitted for other drugs as well as marijuana. So if you came in to kick your heroin habit and you also smoke pot, marijuana flag is going to get tripped, and that accounts for that 38%. So maybe it would be better to know how many people were admitted for marijuana alone, like that was the only thing they were admitted for. Fortunately, if we go back to the variables, there's another variable that you'll find over here in that same substance of abuse created variables called num subs. Num subs tells us how many substances they were admitted with. Clicking on num subs puts it in selected. We can then copy that to column. So now we'll be making a table whether or not you were admitted with marijuana and how many substances were you admitted for. We can scroll down on run the table on that, and we will show that there could be up to 3 substances people would be admitted for. Of people that were admitted for only one substance, 18% of them, or 135,000 people, had to go to rehab for marijuana alone. Now, the kicker. What put them there? Well, if we take num subs, we can move that to something called control. And control just means making separate pages. So what we'll do is we'll put num subs there so that we'll have one page for the 1 substance users, one page for the 2 substance users, one page for the 3 substance users. And to find out what put them into rehab, up in referral sources, there is a variable called P source, the principal source of referral. We'll put that into column, we'll run the table, and what we will find as we scroll through the table, this is the num subs 0. Yes, some people are in rehab for nothing, but here are num subs number 1. Oops, let's switch those two to get the table to look the way we want. We'll put mar flag down here and P source in the row. We're just swapping them to get a better look at the data. And what we find is that of one substance reported, 16% of the people in there for marijuana were individual self-referrals, and 53.3% were court, criminal justice, DUI, DWI referrals. That is your drug war data mining look at TEDS A.
420 Radio is 24-hour marijuana legalization radio. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, treat law enforcement with respect and stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney." Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com.
NORMAL stands for Responsible Adult Cannabis Use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks may be far less than those posed by legal drugs.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, we've got frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com and follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter. For over 4 decades, High Times magazine has been the chronicle of the underground marijuana culture. Now as marijuana goes mainstream, High Times is stronger than ever, running the best-selling magazine, their high-traffic website, and producing 5 U.S. Cannabis Cups and 1 International Cannabis Cup per year. Check out the latest news from High Times in our High Times Preview.
All right, this is Bobby Black coming to you from the Sasquatch Glass booth with Olivia. And Olivia has a pretty badass piece to show us. Tell us a little about this, Olivia.
This is a functional banjo and pipe, which you can smoke out of right here.
And this looks like a pretty intense collaboration that's going on here. Spider webs and all kinds of cool stuff.
Honestly, I'm terrified of them, so it's great to hold all day.
You guys have one of the most innovative products that have been hit the dab scene in the past year or so. Tell us a little about it. You came out with the ceramic nail, and now you guys have an e-nail ceramic nail.
We do, yeah. The ceramic was, you know, if you talk to a lot of the people in the industry, they'll tell you it was bound to happen. Up till now, we've had a bunch of different models, 13 different models, all torched versions. Although one of them did fit with one of the electronic nails out on the market, but it wasn't on purpose.
All new. Yeah.
This is all new. This is made for the D-nail coil. Great electronic nail. It's our favorite for sure. We've been using it forever, so we wanted to make a product that was going to be, you know, really easy and cohesive with theirs.
So what we have is a portable vaporizer. It's glass on glass. We have a ceramic heating chamber right there. It's coated in glass. Have a glass mouthpiece, an internal glass stem. You can actually select the temperature to the degree. We suggest around 375.
You have it over here attached to an actual like a bong.
Yeah, this is actually our U tool, and it's 18 mil fitting, and we have 14 mil, 18 mil, straight, curved, whatever you need, fit any piece you got, so that way you can vaporize through your water pipe.
How you doing, Bobby? What's cracking, brother?
Pretty good, pretty good. As usual, you have a pretty awesome spread out here, but one piece in particular, which I know you have entered. Tell us a little about this.
This is our entry for Best Glass. It's a collaboration with Max Kind and one of the glass blowers from my business, Ari, the Bluegrass Man out of Northern California. There's a lady here, lady figure, holding a mini glass blowtorch, holding a planet rig. It's been great being out here. First time in Seattle. People are awesome. Hash is fucking awesome, man. I'm having a great time.
I've noticed from your neck and from your table how many, I didn't even realize how many awards you guys have won. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we've had a really great year, man. We've been going to all the cups this year, so we had some really good luck.
What do you have entered for this particular cup?
So we have a direct collab piece that we entered for this cup. It's one of our signature piece. It's the Nexus Puck. The D-Rec, he pretty much, he did his own kind of like design to it. If you know his kind of work, likes to engrave really dope designs into his pieces. It's all American-made glass, so, you know, even if, it's, you know, the quality of the glass speaks for itself. So it's
and you even got the little dip in there to put your little dish built in, keep it concentrated in. And
exactly, you know, you just blow a torch and then boom, you know, it's quick, ready to go, you know.
Got us in a trap, and wanna keep us in a trap, Critical thinking,
right?
For critical times.
Yeah. They got us in a trap. They want to keep us in the trap. Critical thinking. Keep me in this state of mind, huh?
Second party politics. Left and right and wrong. Get the money out, so we can get along. They got us in the trap. We're caught up in the trap.
Yeah, critical thinking.
For critical times. They got us in the trap. We're caught up in the trap.
Yeah, critical thinking.
For critical times. Government's not the answer. We need less of that. It's up to the people to take our country back. Cronies on the parties. Corruption's everywhere. Clean it up for the love.
Yeah, vote Dunafon for God.
They got us in the trap. We're caught up in the trap.
Yeah, critical thinking.
For critical times.
Yeah, hemp's just a plant. Prohibition is the problem, but we could change all of that. Yeah, vote Dunafon in the autumn.
Individual rights is where it's at. Collective thinking is a cancer. And with liberty our guide, we can find the answer. Stop the intolerance. Gay couples treated with. Women control their bodies. Keep the government out of beds. Then guide us in the trap. We're caught up in the trap.
Yeah, critical thinking.
For critical times, let's educate our kids the way that we see fit. Local control, our curriculum. Yeah, and that's it.
Right? You got a choice in November to cast a vote that matters. Rejecting party politics and all that shit that flatters. They thought they had us in the trap, but they don't got us in the trap. Critical times put us in that state of mind,
Here, and I am back in Boston, Massachusetts. It is, I think, my third time here, but the second time I have brought the video camera and done a little vlogging. And tomorrow is the start of the 25th annual Hemp Fest or Freedom Rally. MassCan puts it on, but it has thousands and thousands of people affiliated with MassCan and not. It's just a huge freedom rally. There's speakers, big celebration. I'm really looking forward to it. I flew in yesterday so that I'd have a little bit of extra time today to just explore the city and walk around, and it's gorgeous here. It's even more beautiful than I remember. I've checked into a hotel in downtown Boston, and a local named Adam has lent me his 710 box. It's an e-nail, an electronic nail, so that I can get my dab on without a torch. He also lent me this really sick recycler for the weekend, so that I can sit here and take some dabs with all of you. Thank you, Adam, so much, and cheers. This is the start to a great weekend.
This is real. Nothing in this world even matches the way you feel. 'Cause you are my sunshine and you're my cold breeze. In this lover's rock we find each other's all we need. 'Cause girl, I wanna shrimp with you every morning and every damn day. And maybe we could visit for a few. A nicotine without the blues away. Now sometimes we're high and other times we're real low. But I'm learning, baby, I just move real slow. There's so much to learn from each other, living one day to another, and it feels so right when you hold me tight.
That's a really good question. As for me personally, I know top-notch who I consider master growers with deep horticulture and what I consider master growers in cocoa and soil. And I've seen them level up with each other, so anybody who really tells you that hydroponics is shit, don't listen to them, because if it's the right grower, they can master that and it's gonna be spectacular.
Now come talk to me and help me see everything. No matter what I'm feeling, your touch is always healing. Energies inspiring. with all pistons firing. I can be so sure of a beauty so pure. A girl, I wanna shrimp with you every morning and every damn day. We could visit for a few. I like a little thing and drive the blues away.
Hempfest / whatever it is, and Bostonian Reefers are fucking awesome. So many people have said hi already. It's really nice to be back out here for a second time and see people again, but also meet new people. And I feel like this is bigger than last year. There's definitely more booths than I remember, and I'm just kind of like weaving through right now.
In this lover's rock we find each other's all we need. This girl, I wanna shrimp with you every morning and every damn day. And maybe we could visit for a few. I like a thing we drive the blues away. Now sometimes we're high and other times we're real low. But I'm learning, baby, I just move real slow. There's so much to learn from each other, living one day to another. And it feels so right when you hold me tight. Every morning and every damn day. We could visit for you. I like a team and drive the blues away. Now come talk to me and help me see everything. No matter what I'm feeling, your touch is always healing. Energies inspiring, with all pistons firing.
Back at the airport to wrap up this trip. Boston was insanely good to me. It's my third time in the city and I always love coming back. Really look forward to the Boston Freedom Rally next year. Seems like it's getting bigger and better and just more enthusiastic every single year. Next year will be the 26th annual Boston Freedom Rally. Definitely go if you haven't before. Definitely check out some YouTube videos if you aren't really sure what the event is. And I feel blessed that I was able to go there. I had the most amazing time. The Sunday meetup was so much fun. Thank you everyone that came out. It was just awesome. It was super awesome. So right now I'm at JFK. I'm chilling at this airport in between flights. And I think I'm gonna try and sneak a vape hit real quick, so. Yeah, I've just kind of been like inhaling into my jacket and it definitely helps keep the smell down. I've gone into the bathroom once or twice and overall it hasn't been that difficult to stay super stony at JFK. I've been like giggling my ass off here and just kind of killing this 3-hour layover. I do hope you enjoy the footage from the Boston Freedom Rally and I've got a plane to catch. Stay high, you guys.
Video from our friend Coral Reefer at the Boston Freedom Rally. We're back with the Radical Rant after this. Also want to thank our friends at the High Times from the Cannabis Cup there for the video of the vendors. And of course, that music was Wyclef Jean and Mike Dunafon, a independent candidate for governor in Colorado, with The Trap. We're back with the Radical Rant after this.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
420 Radio, the activist radio station. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Very effective. Check out lushledlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you. In the interest of fair and balanced journalism, the Russ Belville Show presents the anti-drug public service announcement of the day.
This is the brain activity of a normal 14-year-old. This is the brain activity of a 14-year-old after smoking marijuana. If you use pot, you're not using your brain.
This has been the anti-drug public service announcement of the day. To cure this sort of reefer madness, listen to the Russ Belville Show every weekday on 420 Radio.
The pistachio. Green, natural, and available without prescription in all 50 states. He's fine.
You can't handle the truth. Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
You have offended my family.
Hey, this is great, man.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
I know nothing.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
We don't need no stinking budget.
Homosexuality, immorality in general.
Now in the century you have blurred the meaning of the words we, the people.
Be warned, this is not your mother's marijuana.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Welcome back, everybody. 48 after the hour, and today I want to share more of the unraveling of Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Marquis, who is wilting in the face of sunshine and transparency, resisting open records requests concerning the possible taxpayer funding of anti-marijuana campaigns in 2012 and 2014. Now, another person who's been following up on this is my friend Jennifer Alexander, although we've been doing this independently, and I should point that out. I also should point out that Jennifer Alexander is one of the few human beings I will admit is more tenaciously dogged than me when she gets her mind set on something. Also writes longer emails than I do, if you think that's possible. She writes much longer emails than me. And one very important thing about Jennifer is she is a stickler for honesty and truth, to the point where, like, she wouldn't jaywalk if you wanted to get her to jaywalk. I mean, she's one of those kind of people that wants to make sure everything's by the book. So she's been emailing back and forth with Josh Marquis. I stopped because he told me not to contact him anymore. But she's been emailing back and forth with Josh Marquis and did so right after the Salem City Club debate where he faced off against Representative Earl Blumenauer. I want to share some of this with you. Obviously not all of it because, like I said, Jennifer writes books for emails. But here is the tone of Jennifer's first email back to Marquis. I share what I find with both sides indiscriminately. I also shared it with you and asked for clarification and more information. And that was before I shared it with Russ, for the record. I shared the same sort of information with every contact for the tour I spoke with as well. It is all public information, primarily found online, not some dark secret. We were actually both looking at this in 2012 simultaneously as well, so despite having fallen out of touch for more than a year, this uproar over the recent summit and tour got us back into contact about 2 weeks ago, after the Willamette Week did an article on the summit. If you're referring to the help us in that posting, I am not the us. The us is the marijuana community, i.e. his podcast audience and website readers. I'm still searching for information on any 2013 Marijuana Summit since it is dubbed an annual event, but so far I have had no luck there. No such event appears to exist. I believe it is wrong to use public resources and federal grant money to sway an election, and I'm very disturbed by organizers dubbing it simply an educational event while inviting Kevin Sabet to headline, the quarterback for opposing marijuana laws nationwide. I will say it seems more and more that you do not want this conversation with me or anyone on my side of the conversation, but publicly you're saying that the proponents don't want the conversation. I definitely want the conversation. I hope I'm being very clear about that. I spoke with a few people after the City Club debate, and I'm very interested in hearing the opinions of those who oppose legalizing marijuana. So that's typical Jennifer, and there's a whole bunch more where she states some facts and gives her background and as a mom and etc. This is the response she got from Josh Marquis. Pretending to be researching when in fact you're trying to find a gotcha is not intellectually honest. There are plenty of valid reasons for legalization, but the idea that thousands of lives are ruined by arrests or citations is simply a lie. Your pal, Mr. Belville, apparently thinks he's got me because I advocate on office time behind my desk in a county office. Yet he peppers me with demands for emails from my own staff with nothing other than his hunch that I'm breaking the law. If he really thinks that, I've urged him to file his complaint under ORS 260.432 with the investigating agency, the Secretary of State. I have. I am an elected DA who was asked by my colleagues to point out our specific objections to Measure 91. And now, folks, hold on to your hats for this one. Apparently, I am one of the few people of my age in public life willing to admit I ever smoked pot. Two prominent proponents, Congressman Blumenauer and Portland defense attorney Darian Stanford, both submitters of expensive voters' pamphlet arguments, claim they never smoked pot. Who do you think is really being honest? Don't bother answering the question. Wow, folks, did we just have the Clatsop County DA insinuate that Congressman Blumenauer is a liar? That he is lying about having never smoked marijuana? I'll question him about that if I get the chance. Marquis continues, quote, I believe in free speech, unlike Congressman Blumenauer, who's threatened a lot of good, decent drug counselors with the threat of loss of their jobs. All right. He also says, others want to make people like me batshit crazy just say no maniacs who actually believe reefer madness. Real life is a lot more nuanced. Now remember, this is the same guy who just the other day said, I smoked pot back in the 70s. I remember a lid. And when I smoked, this thing about smoking pot is it happens immediately. You're immediately zonked. Not like drinking wine where you just get a little warm after a little while. This is the same guy who's gone along with the same line from Kevin Sabet that the potency of marijuana is so much greater than the Woodstock weed of the past. Apparently, the Woodstock weed that got him so zonked on a single puff. That's that guy. This is the same guy who says anybody can get a medical marijuana card. Anybody can. You can just walk into a clinic and just get a medical marijuana card. This is the same guy who says it's not that hard to grow marijuana. Anybody can grow marijuana. They call it weed for a reason. Yeah, people want to make you batshit crazy, just say no maniacs who believe reefer madness. That's all their fault. Now, Jennifer responded, and to her credit, she keeps her cool as she responds. Am I not being clear? I don't have a problem with your involvement in the summit or tour, nor your opposition to the measure. I have a problem with the funding of the summit and tour, and the fact that the event is not representing itself as political advocacy when I believe it very clearly is. I have questions about D.A. LaRich doing fundraising for the tour from work, as that was implied in the Oregonian article about his raising funds to fill the gap after grant funders backed out. But it isn't completely clear what those circumstances were, or if he was operating in any official capacity, so I don't know if he did anything wrong either. And then a whole bunch more about, hey, we're just trying to get the facts on this, pal. This is his response. Quote, as the below paragraph of yours makes clear, you and Russ seem to not have read ORS 260.432. It forbids political advocacy by employees during working hours. Sorry, but even they have First Amendment rights on their own time. Elected officials are exempt, but cannot do things like make copies of advocacy brochures or the office copier or use their subordinates to advance a political cause. Josh, that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. I've got plenty of evidence from 2012 showing that the county offices were using their resources to promote the Madras Summit that its own agenda showed was very clearly anti-Measure 80. That's what we're looking for. He continues, I'm not sure what claims you and Radical Russ are making against Steve LaRich, but he too is an elected official, free to advocate. I intend to pursue public records requests of non-elected employees in the Oregon Health Authority about why they are so determined to shut down what's left of the forum, even though there is no government money being spent. Russ, and you, as far as I can tell, don't want there to be any education about any possible downsides to weed, which arise regardless of the legal status of marijuana, virtually already legalized in Oregon. But hey, there's millions to be made by getting new users, and I'm sure the cannabis cotton candy really isn't targeted at kids. I want information. The multi-million-dollar big marijuana machine wants silence, aided by government bureaucrats, one of whose last job was with George Soros, Measure 91's largest donor. I'm sure that's just another coincidence. Wow. Brought out the George Soros conspiracy theory engine on this one. Okay, look. Once again, pal, nobody wants silence. Hell, bring Kevin Sabet. Tour him across the state all month long. That's just more content for me. That's just more opportunities and more show for me. That's just more me going to every city that he goes to, handing out flyers that debunk every single talking point he's got. I want Kevin Sabet in town. I want there to be more marijuana educational events, because the more we're talking about this, the more we're winning. But as Jennifer points out, you have to play by the same rules I have to play by. I didn't get to go to the 2012 Madras Summit. You know why? Because I didn't have enough money. I don't get taxpayer grants. I don't get taxpayer-funded offices. I don't get taxpayer-funded email accounts and servers and websites and IT help and people answering the phones. I do all that work my damn self on the donations of the listeners out there who support my work. I couldn't go to the 2012 summit, but one of my listeners did. And he let me know that that summit was as political as could possibly be, with people openly exhorting folks to vote no on Measure 80. And I've got the flyers, and I've got the agendas of the meetings, and I've got the emails back and forth, and I'm gonna get more records back and forth to show that that 2012 event was produced with public money, that Kevin Sabet did get an honorarium from public money, and that you tried to do the same thing again this year in 2014. The problem was you didn't have Paul Stanford to go up against this time. You had a real professional organization to go up against this time that could actually call bullshit on this. We are far from through with this one, Josh Marquis, and the more I read from you, the more I can tell that you don't get it. You want to continue to try to make this as if he literally calls me and Jennifer Alexander bullies. Bullies! We're bullies for asking for records from our government that our taxes pay for. We're bullies to expect transparency in our county offices. We're bullies to expect the district attorneys of 5 counties or possibly more to obey the freaking law. We're bullies? I'll tell you what bullying is. Bullying is when you get pulled out of your car on the freeway, set on the side of the road in handcuffs while cops go through all of your stuff because they suspect you have a tiny amount of weed on you. Bullying is riding in the back of a cop car in handcuffs and sitting in a cage for 8 hours. Bullying is having to come up with $5 grand on the spot to earn your freedom and not lose your job and your work and your events. That's bullying, Josh Marquis.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
That's all the time we got for Hour 1, but stay tuned. Hour 2 is next. Toker Talk Radio. We'll take your calls at 971-533-7111. For everyone here at 420radio.org, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.